Welcome back, MTN Giants podcast, last game reaction of the year. Well, technically not, because it's 2024, but you get what I mean, of this season, I should say. Giants win 27-10 versus Philly, a team they don't beat very often, and when they do beat them, it's never by this much. So this is really weird to see this kind of score. But it was a weird game. Like, it started out with the Eagles being competitive, and I think they wanted to win this game at first. Then A.J. Brown goes down. They had all these other injuries with Devontae Smith and Darius Slay, and even Swift was out with an illness. So they had so much going against them, and Jalen Hurts looked like shit. So they're like, you know what? They kind of just pulled the plug in the second quarter, I think it was. Put in Marcus Mariota and kind of coasted from there. So wasn't the most exciting game. I mean, you know, it was good to see the Giants win by a lot. Like it was. I did come into this game hoping to lose, but really losing this game or winning this game didn't do too much in terms of like losing draft position. They did drop one spot from 5 to 6, but the team that went in front of them now is the Chargers, who obviously don't need a quarterback. The thing I'm concerned about, though, is the two teams in front of the Giants trading out of that pick for, trading back with a team that needs a quarterback. So let's hypothetically say that Minnesota at 11 trades up to number 4 with Arizona, or trades up to number 5 with the Chargers. Then you're like, oh shit, well, that could be one of the quarterbacks the Giants want. So that's the part I'm concerned about. I still think that the Bears will take a quarterback. I just don't buy the whole Justin Fields thing. The way today's game went, the Bears scored 9 points against a division rival in a big game. I just can't see it. I think it's Caleb Williams until proven otherwise, but we'll see what happens. Washington, New England at 2-3, they should definitely be in the quarterback market. So the Giants might have their shot at quarterback 4, or maybe not. If a team trades up in front of them, then they're kind of out of luck. So if you're the Giants and you love 4 quarterbacks in this class, maybe it is smart to just trade up with Arizona and ensure you get the guy who you want. But if not, then they just maybe see how the draft plays out and go from there. So we'll talk more about that at the end. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Leave a like, of course, and let's get into it. So the Giants, they jumped out to a 24-0 lead, which wasn't really on the bingo card, as they say. But the offense looked good once again. Back-to-back weeks where Tyrod's playing, the offense looks really good. Tyrod did have the interception, which I forget when that was now. Oh, yes, that was the interception in the end zone. So they were purposely trying to feed Sterling Shepard a touchdown because this is probably his last Giants game. So this happened right after a turnover, and they went for Slayton on that, not Slayton, they went for Shepard on that slant, and it got tipped in the air, I think, by Bradbury and intercepted by, I think that was Blankenship, the equal safety. So, you know, he kind of forced that pass on purpose. It is what it is. I don't really care, but still won by a lot. But yeah, Tyrod overall looked pretty good. 23 of 32, 297, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He left the game for like a couple drives in this one with a thumb injury, and he got knocked pretty hard to the ground later in the game. I don't think he missed time with that. He might have missed one play. I think DeVito came in. He was 2 of 2 DeVito for 14 yards. Saquon didn't have the most efficient game on the ground. He did have a big reception in this game, but on the ground, he was only 2.6 yards per carry on 18 carries. Did have 2 rushing touchdowns. One of those was really creative. One of those, like, just plays where Saquon was kind of sweeping around, and I think it wasn't like a shovel pass. Tyrod handed him the ball, and he ran in for a touchdown. Had to lower his shoulder to get it, but Saquon got in. Saw some Eric Gray, 3 carries for 19 yards. Tyrod had 38 rushing yards on 8 carries, 4.8 a carry for him. Wan'Dale played well again. I mean, Wan'Dale has really closed out this season looking great. Of course, he was great in that Packers game. He was great, I think it was last week or maybe the week before that, I forget. But like, he closed out the season pretty strong. He had 85 yards on 5 catches. Unfortunately, Jalen Hyatt had the hamstring injury, only 1 catch for 5 yards. They went for him deep, I think, on the first drive, and it might have been pass interference, but no flag was called, so it fell incomplete. But yeah, the hamstring, it's not what you want to see, obviously. A guy that fast having hamstring issues, it's not the best thing, but hopefully for next year he's fine. Darius Slayton had 5 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. He had a couple big plays in this game. Slayton caught that one drag route, broke a couple tackles, and picked up more yards. So he looked good in this game. Like, Slayton on the touchdown, he got wide open. I don't know what happened. I think it was just a breakdown by the Eagles. He was on the left side, and nobody stuck with him. So Tyrod, he found him, and Slayton was wide open, had to outrun the safety a bit, but got himself a touchdown. Saquon had 2 catches for 51 yards, had that one big catch. Hodgins had 3 catches for 36 yards, and Sterling Shepard in his final game, 3 catches for 18 yards. So they played him a bit more. They were trying to force feed him the ball. Wasn't the best result, but hey, Shep was the last guy announced today running out of the tunnel. So hopefully for him it was a good send-off. It's unfortunate that he didn't score a touchdown, but they were trying. They definitely were. So as I said, the offense, they looked good. Once again, 415 total yards, 306 passing yards, 109 rushing yards, which isn't that great, but 6.3 yards per play. Not too bad. The Eagles had 4.6. Third down efficiency, not too bad, 6 for 14. And another game by the Giants where it just proves to me, and I think it should prove to other people watching, that if the Giants just had better quarterback play, they'd be fine. Like, they wouldn't be an elite Super Bowl team. They still need more pieces, obviously, but with a good young quarterback, hopefully, whether it's a rookie in the first round this year or however else you want to get a quarterback, I don't know. Of course, that Justin Fields idea might be out there. Do you trade for Justin Fields? Probably not. Like, he's probably not the answer. I think Fields is better than DJ, but it's probably not worth trading for Justin Fields. That doesn't make too much sense for this team. He should probably go to like the Falcons or something. Like, that probably makes more sense. But what was I getting to? But yeah, it just shows me the past 2 games here against pretty good opponents. Like, the Rams are a good team. They were playing their starters. They had to win that game. They barely won. The Eagles played their starters for like a quarter and a half, but still, we saw Tyrod and this Giants offense look pretty good. Like, they weren't elite. As I said, this is not a Super Bowl contender type team with Tyrod in there, but Tyrod has at least shown you that you just can't blame the offensive line every week like we do with Daniel Jones. You can't blame the lack of weapons every week like we do with Daniel Jones. Like, you see Tyrod, he avoids sacks. He was only sacked twice today. He was sacked a good amount last week, but I remember a couple of those were like just him trying to run out the pocket. He got tripped up like 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage. So they weren't like the worst sacks. But he's showing you that it's not just the offensive line. It's not just the lack of receivers. It's not whatever other excuse Jones truthers try to make. Like, Tyrod Taylor, who once again is like a backup quarterback, he makes this offense look pretty damn good sometimes. So it's more than just like, oh, the offensive line, oh, the receivers. Like, yeah, I get they're not elite. I get the offensive line's not that great. I get the receivers aren't that great, but you still can make things happen with this team. And I still think that Kafka's a good play caller. I hope he doesn't go anywhere. We'll see about Don Martindale tomorrow, probably, what happens. I think Joe Schoen has a press conference tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's 8:30 Eastern time in the morning. So got to be up early for that one, but luckily I have work, so I'll be up to watch that one. But interesting to see what he'll say. It seems like most reports are saying that Daniel Jones is going to be back for week 1 and will be the Giants starting quarterback next year. Obviously, I don't agree with that. I would take a quarterback this year in the first round if the right one falls to you, or you have to trade up to Arizona to get one, however it may be. But I just think sticking with Jones for this regime would just be like, I don't know. It'd be like throwing your career away. It really would. Like, I would hate to be Dable and Shane and have to rely on Daniel Jones to not only stay healthy, which he has a problem doing, but also play well enough to, not have another bad year. And I just could not do that if I'm Joe Schoen. Like, I'm doing everything I can to get my quarterback and extend my timeline, but more importantly, actually find a quarterback that is good, which I don't think Daniel Jones is that good. Like, yeah, he ran the offense pretty effectively last year, but it wasn't anything that special outside of a couple games. So find the right quarterback, and hopefully it's in the first round. Giants defense, great game from Xavier McKinney, who is playing for a contract, and he went out with a bang. 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions was phenomenal. His foot was in by like this much. Like, we're talking like centimeters at that point. It was called incomplete on the field, and I'm pretty sure it was challenged, or maybe the booth, I forget who it was. Maybe it was Dable who challenged it, but they had to review it, and they concluded that it was an interception by Xavier McKinney. So he was really good in this game. Adoree Jackson looked a bit better. The effort was a bit better in this game. I think A.J. Brown getting hurt early definitely helped the Giants in this game, because I did say before the game that if Deonte Banks was out, that it was going to be a tough game for Adoree Jackson. So I figured with A.J. Brown being the physical specimen he is, and Adoree Jackson kind of like mailing it in last week, I figured it'd be a tough matchup. But, I guess luckily for the Giants, he got hurt early. I don't know what the extent of his injury is. It could have been another victim of the MetLife turf, but Obviously I don't wish injuries on guys. I hope A.J. Brown's good. He's a great player to watch, so hopefully he's fine. For the Giants pass rush, there was a lot of sacks in this game. Azeez Ojulari had 2. He had a tackle for a loss, 4 solo tackles. Is he a UDFA? I think he has 1 year left. I got to check his contract real quick, but I'm pretty sure he's either close to a free agent. I think he has 1 year left after this, but I'm going to check just to be sure. I searched contract like a jackass. Like that was going to come up. Yeah, he has 1 more year after this. $2.1 million cap hit next year. They can get out of it and save like 1.5 mil, but I'm assuming he'll be back next year. Still just 23. Like, he's still very young. They drafted him when he was very young. I think he was like 20 when he was drafted. So, yeah, I would give Azeez 1 more year. Hope he can stay healthy and take it from there. But as I said before, like, his career's kind of projecting like it was Lorenzo Carter. Like, that's what it feels like. Lorenzo had a pretty good year 4 with the Giants. He had his moments coming off the injury, so we'll see if Azeez has a good year 4 here. Good game from Bobby Okereke. Had the 5 solo tackles, 8 total, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, and had the hilarious play where the Eagles were doing the tush push. Jalen Hurts was still in, and it reminded me so much of that meme going around of the guy who tackled the judge and jumped over the stand. Like, that was pretty much exactly like it. Like, Bobby Okereke at the line, Troy Polamalu style, just jumped over the line trying to tackle Jalen Hurts, and he was there a bit too early, so it was a penalty. But I do love seeing the effort there. It was just funny. But yeah, Okereke's been phenomenal. Worth every penny so far. He played every snap this year, I think. Same with McKinney. So a big shout out to those guys for being durable and playing very well. It didn't start out that great for McKinney, but it felt like the second half of the year, McKinney was one of the best safeties in the NFL. I personally reached a point where I was like, just move on from McKinney. I'm done with the guy's attitude and shit. But like, he's actually played so well that maybe you do bring him back. It's at the right price, obviously. I don't know what that would be off the top of my head. I would have to go and look at the safety market and whatnot. But it looks like right now that McKinney is bought in, and that's a guy that you definitely want to bring back. So I hope they get it done, but at the right price. I wouldn't spend a crazy amount of money, but hopefully, both sides can reach a fair agreement there. Micah McFadden had 7 solo tackles, 2 passes defended, so that was good to see from him. Dane Belton got extended playing time today. 6 solo tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for a loss. He looks good out there. Jihad Ward had a sack as well. I thought, Kayvon didn't have that many stats in this game. Had 1 pass defended, hit off his helmet. I remember that play. But he had 3 solo tackles, and I felt like he was getting a lot of pressures. I'd have to go back and watch the game or, wait for like PFF or whoever to come out with the pressure stats. But I felt by watching that game that Kayvon had some pretty good pass rushes in that game. So it didn't result in any sacks, unfortunately, but overall, you look at the numbers, and I feel like Kayvon had a pretty good year. I think he still had 12.5 sacks this year. I'm going to look it up real quick. But, not a terrible year, too, but, like, sometimes it was underwhelming, and sometimes it was like, oh, my God, Kayvon has arrived. So, just a mixed bag. He had 11.5 sacks, according to Google. So, we'll go with that. I thought it was 12.5 for some reason, but 50 combined tackles, 24 assists, 11.5 sacks. I mean, it's a big jump from what he did last year, but hopefully he just gets more consistent as his career goes on, because that's like the one gripe I have with him is like sometimes he looks dominant and sometimes he just does not look like he's out there. I thought Cordell Flott had some good moments, but he had no tackles, so I guess not, but I thought he made some pretty good impact plays at some points. Anybody else on defense that stuck out? Jihad Ward I mentioned. Nick McLeod played pretty well. I'll give him some credit. Trey Hawkins had 5 solo tackles. All right, so that was good to see. But yeah, that was pretty much it. I didn't see much from Dexter Lawrence. Was he even playing out there? Like, I feel like I didn't see anything. Yeah, he played today, January 7th, had 1 combined tackle. So, all right, not the most impactful game. But it wasn't like the Eagles wanted to, run the ball that much. Maybe they did coming into it, but the score got away from them so fast that they got away from it. But as I said, 24-0 out the gate, just not what anybody expected. The Eagles cut it to 24-10 with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter after Watkins had that nice touchdown, but it never felt like the lead was in trouble. It felt like the Giants had complete control. So, yeah, it was good to get that win. Like, I found, like, coming into the game, I wanted to lose, obviously, like, knowing what was at stake, but after seeing how the rest of the games were playing out, I just realized that a win by the Giants was not going to like shoot them in the foot too much. So I found myself rooting for them in like the second half of that game. It was just fun to just sit back and relax and enjoy the team winning and looking good. Obviously, I'd rather have the 5th pick, and I hope it does not come back to bite them in the ass. That would suck. But a lot of those late season wins, the Packers win, the Patriots win. I mean, wins like that, the win today, hopefully they don't come back to bite us. You know, there's always a debate about, do you root against your team? Do you root for your team in those situations? You guys know what I do, but hopefully it does not come back to bite them. That's all I can say about it. So it is what it is now. It's over and done with. The Giants, of course, will be picking 6th overall. Luckily for us, the Titans won today. So Tennessee, they basically knocked Jacksonville out of the playoffs. So they got a big win beating their division rival today. And I wish today's win for us would have knocked Philly out of the playoffs. That would have been much better. But, you know, Tennessee got a good taste of that today. But for the Giants in the draft, I would assume, because obviously it has to play out first, but I would assume that 3 quarterbacks are going with the first 3 picks, whether Chicago stays there and takes their own quarterback or Chicago trades back and a team that wants a quarterback trades up to 1. Maybe that team is the Giants. I don't think it's going to happen, but as I said before, I've heard the rumors that Joe Schoen loves Caleb Williams. So if he loves him that much and can get a deal done to get up to 1, maybe he does it. You know, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but Chicago's pick, probably a quarterback. I think Washington probably takes a quarterback. Ron Rivera's probably done there, and it should be like a whole new regime. So they probably want their own guy. So they have the 2nd pick. 3rd pick is New England. Seems like Belichick's done there. They'll get a new regime there in New England. So it's very realistic that the first 3 picks can be quarterbacks. Now, when you get to 4 and 5, you have 2 teams that are prime candidates to trade out of that pick and trade back to teams that need quarterbacks. Now, the teams that need quarterbacks behind Arizona and the Chargers that, you know, I could see trading up. Atlanta needs one, obviously. Chicago, I don't know. Chicago picks 1, so if they want one, they'll get one at 1. But then you have the Jets, who probably won't do it because, you know, Aaron Rodgers runs that team. Minnesota, they probably want a quarterback. Denver wants a quarterback, assuming Russell Wilson is released, which I think was their plan. Las Vegas, I mean, they've been winning games, but you can do better than Aiden O'Connell, so I could see Las Vegas trading up. I guess New Orleans will stick it out with Derek Carr for another year. I mean, that's probably not the most exciting thing. The Colts are fine. Seattle's probably fine with Geno. We'll see, maybe. Cincy's fine. Jacksonville, they're fine. Yeah, so there's like a handful of teams I could see trading up for a quarterback, but you know, we'll see if they do it or not. It's a big what if. But anyway, so if the first 3 picks are quarterbacks, there's a good chance that Caleb's off the board, Drake May's off the board, and probably Jaden Daniels. It's not 100% certain that those are the 3 guys, but it just seems like based on consensus, those are the most likely quarterbacks to go in the first 3 picks. So the Giants may not have a shot at one of those guys, which sucks. But Joe Schoen would still have his pick of, you know, Penix, Bo Nix, McCarthy, I guess. Who else is out there? Quinn Ewers, maybe. I just don't see that happening. But the place to be in this draft was the top 3. The Giants, unfortunately, fell to the 4th team that needs a quarterback. Like, they pick 4th now of teams that need quarterbacks. So to miss out on Caleb, May, and Daniels, it sucks. And I really do hope that the Bears keep Fields and that the Giants can trade up to number 1. That'd be most ideal and get Caleb Williams, but probably not going to happen. It just feels like a long shot. So I'm not relying on that to happen, but we'll see if Joe Schoen has conviction on Penix or Bo Nix or McCarthy, or just pick another guy. You know, that could be what it is. So, you know, that's why I wanted the 2nd overall pick for a long time. I realized that when we beat the Patriots that one week, it probably was not going to happen. But if the Giants were picking top 2 or top 3, they probably would have definitely taken a quarterback. Now that they're picking 5, I think the Giants have enough excuses, or picking at 6. Well, I keep saying 5. Now that they're picking at 6, they will probably have enough excuses to not take a quarterback, which will drive me crazy, but that's just the reality of the situation. So, you know, that's why I wanted to lose those games. and have a top 3 pick because there would have been no excuses not to take a quarterback. But now that they draft 6, there are excuses not to take a quarterback. As I said, the first 3 picks can all be Caleb, May, Jaden, and then the Giants are sitting there saying, well, we don't like those guys, so we're going to take another position or something. So that could definitely happen. So mentally prepare yourself for that. I don't know if the Giants are going into this draft saying we have to get a quarterback. Joe Schoen talked about not wanting to shop hungry at one point, and I think he was talking about that with trades, but still, drafting, the same thing applies. You don't want to shop hungry. So, you don't want to go into the draft saying the first pick has to be a quarterback. You got to just see how it plays out, and we'll see if they evaluate a guy they like. I think Penix for this team, it just seems unlikely with the injury history. Like, I think Penix is a good prospect, but it just seems unlikely. I feel like with the 2 ACLs and all the season-ending injuries in previous years and Daniel Jones already having his injury history, I just feel like that's not going to happen. I could be wrong, but I just feel like it's just not likely. So I feel like a lot of our fan base would lose their minds if it's Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy, and I understand it. They're not as exciting as those top 4 guys, but we'll see what Joe Schoen thinks. But anyway, yeah, the win, I keep calling it loss. The win wasn't too bad today. It would have pissed me off more if Arizona won their game, and they were very close to doing so. I think Matt Prater missed like a 52-yard field goal to win it. So at least that happened. So Arizona was going to stay at 4 anyway. But hopefully dropping from 5 to 6 does not shoot the Giants in the foot at the end. So we'll see. But yeah, once again, a frustrating season. You knew from like the first game of the year that it was probably going to be a rough one. And, you had people like myself just begging this team not to run it back with the group from last year. And, the Giants a lot of times buy into their own hype, and it is what it is. And you have, fan pressure and people saying, oh, you have to resign Jones, or what else are you going to do? And it was ultimately not the right move. But this is the situation we're in, so they have to get themselves out of it. I just can't imagine Joe Schoen going into next year with like Jones and DeVito and like some other guy, like a Drew Lock or something, as his quarterback room. Like, that just does not seem like it's going to work. And, Joe Schoen's job is going to be pretty much on the line next year. I don't know how many chances he'll get, how many more years he'll get, but if the Giants have another bad season next year, like a 5 or a 4 or a 6-win season again, I mean, is the coaching staff and Joe Schoen going to make it through another year? Like, you have to think about that stuff. So that's the bad part. But yeah, the Giants chose this path. It is what it is. And I didn't think the Giants would be this bad this year, but I definitely saw the regression coming. I thought they would win between like 7 and 9 games. So, I kind of thought they'd be like a little bit worse than last year. I think my point, what I was saying in the beginning of the year, was I expected a better team on the field, but not as many wins, because the Giants' schedule was harder this year. It was pretty damn easy last year, as we know, but the games were going to get tougher, but I thought the talent on the field would be better. But that wasn't really what we saw this year, sadly. Some guys stepped up and looked good this year. I mean, Kayvon, Dexter Lawrence once again. I feel like Slayton finished off the year very well. Wandale, Barkley played pretty well the entire year, except for being hurt. But, some guys came in that were unexpected, like a DeVito guy like that. So, they had their moments, but overall, just a difficult year. And I don't want to hear John Mara blame the injuries for the reason they missed the playoffs. I do hope the Giants have enough sense that their roster on paper was just not good enough and that their process was wrong to bring back Jones on a long-term deal. But they obviously won't say that out loud. But if Joe Schoen or John Mara, they speak tomorrow and they're like, yeah, we just had an unlucky year with the injuries and we feel like if we run this back again, it'll be different. A quote like that will definitely piss me off, and I hope they don't say that. But knowing this team, it would not shock me. So we'll see how this plays out. We'll see Shane's presser tomorrow and see if any interesting nuggets come from that. But that's pretty much all I got. Once again, thank you to you guys for sticking around for another year. Whether you agree with my takes or not, I'm still going to be here talking. So, but I appreciate you guys. I know it's a tough year, and it's just coming off last year where we went to the divisional round, and we're very excited about the future. To take a big step back like this, it kind of sucks. So I get it, but hopefully in April and in free agency, we get what we want, and hopefully somehow, some way, the Giants trade up and get a quarterback, or they take somebody at number 6 and go from there, and hopefully have a, nice decade run of winning instead of losing. So we'll see. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you guys next time.